Welcome back to South Coast Radio with your radio host Ryan Moodley on the Gospel Session. And today we are catching up with someone who has become a familiar voice to our listeners. We last spoke with him back in April about his single called Mir Asye, and since then his musical journey has continued to grow. He is a young singer and songwriter from Paarl whose music is built around honesty, emotion, self-discovery, and importantly, faith. His latest single is called Gedra, and it's also the third single from his upcoming debut EP, S.C.R. Joining us once again is Mark Pekeur. Mark, welcome back to South Coast Radio. It's great to have you with us once again.
Hi Ryan, thank you so incredibly much. Greetings to all our listeners as well. It is great to be back. Great to be, talking to you guys again.
Fantastic, Mark. It's really great to have you back. As mentioned earlier, since we last spoke in April about Mir Asye, how would you say you've grown as an artist and as a person?
I think I've definitely been on a journey for sure. I think, realizing the impact that my songs, like you just mentioned, Mir Asye, I have released another song called S.C.R. as well. And I think realizing on this journey just the impact that my songs have had on people, I think has definitely showed me that, putting my heart on pen and paper was definitely worth it. And I think I've sort of grown in that area of realizing that, like nothing happens by mistake, and that me being on this journey didn't just happen. I think I've grown in those areas specifically.
Awesome, Mark. So, and also your music has always been quite personal, has becoming more open and honest through your songwriting changed the way you see your own journey?
Yes, definitely. I think, the songs that I'm releasing, as much as all the songs are for the listeners, the people that will be listening to it, but it is also for me, because it is constant reminders for me of where I was and where I'm heading towards. And I think that for me is an underrated blessing in a way. And it is definitely like songs that I can go back to, even if I feel like I'm back in a headspace where I'm not feeling too good or I'm doubting myself. I can listen to Mir Asye, for example, and I can, also remind myself that there's more that I have to give. And for example, the song that I released today called Gedra, if I can go back and I can listen to it, and I can remind myself that, God has carried me through each and every part of my life, so it has definitely helped and or helped me see my journey in different ways and given me different tools as well.
Awesome, Mark. And also, your guitar remains such an important part of your songwriting. When you sit down with your guitar, what usually comes first, the words, the melody, or simply an emotion?
I think they rotate. I think sometimes the words will come first, and then I will sing the words. I will make a recording, and then I will go sit down and play through some melodies on the guitar. Sometimes it would be the melodies that come first. Like I mentioned, sometimes I would sit down and I would jam. I would go through some melodies, and something would just feel like, oh, but there's potential here. And then I would sort of like write lyrics on that. Or sometimes, I would maybe be going through something, I would be feeling some kind of way, and for me, a natural reflex is to go to my guitar, to pick up my guitar and to start playing, because that is kind of my way of, just releasing everything that I feel. So sometimes, in that sense, the emotion would come first, and then it would kind of be a ripple effect. The melody, then the words, and everything would kind of just flow. So yeah.
Great stuff, Mark. So let's talk about the brand new single, Gedra. For someone hearing about Gedra for the first time, what is the story behind the song?
So the song is obviously it's written from, or it stems from my personal experiences. When I was writing the song, it wasn't a great time for my family. It was a time where my parents were going through a divorce, and things weren't exactly the best, in terms of that.
Yeah.
And as for me, I was always the one that was the mentally, and emotionally strong one in the family. So that was kind of my job. It was kind of, to be strong for the people around me, to carry, the emotions and the weight on my shoulders as well. And with that, I didn't really have anyone to sort of be that for me. And I think when I was writing this song, it was in a time where I was looking back, and I realized, but, even though I built up so many walls, even though, I've had to do everything on my own, or I felt like I had to do everything on my own for so long, I was reminded, or I realized that I was never doing it alone, that God was always there. God was carrying me through all of those parts of my life. And I think what I didn't realize at the time, or when I started, releasing my songs, I didn't realize that God was actually preparing me to write these songs, and so yeah, Gedra is a song about realizing that God has carried you through every aspect of your life, through all, your circumstances, through every aspect of life. God has carried you through. So that is basically the premise and the story behind how this song came about.
Great stuff, Mark. And the song opens with the powerful idea of looking back at everything life has taught you and recognizing that you've become a better person because of those experiences. Where did that idea come from?
I think, I think, like I just mentioned, it came from looking back at everything that has happened up until that point where I was sitting down and writing the song. I think that line specifically came from looking back and just thinking about all the lessons that I've learned, and everything that I'm able to apply now in this moment, everything that I'm able to use and actually put pen on paper, so yeah, it literally just came about from sitting down. Obviously, I think the melody probably came first with the song. It was a very catchy tune, and then I was just looking back, realizing and looking at everything that I've gone through, and that's where it sort of came about. It was just about like realizing that life has taught you so many lessons, and you are still able to be here, you are able to still stand. So yeah.
Awesome, Mark. And you've described Gedra as bringing the story of the V's EP together. How does this song complete that journey?
I think the song is, in a way, I think probably the climax or the resolution of the EP, because the song sort of goes through a story. The beginning, which would be My Film is Any Snorter in VSTech, the two songs those two songs specifically talking about a time in my life where I didn't recognize myself, where I felt like I lost who I was, and I didn't recognize the person that was looking back at me in the mirror, you know. And then you have Mira Siai, and you have a song, Staan Vas in Jou Geloof. Mira Siai, of course, about realizing that there's more in this life that you have to give, and more that I deserve to give, you know, obviously. And Staan Vas in Jou Geloof is about standing firm in your faith through everything. And then Gedra is about realizing that, you know, God has carried you, and God is going to continue to carry you through everything, you know. So yeah, Gedra is sort of the climax of the EP, you know, the resolution in that sense.
Awesome, Mark. And just as you touched on it, that this song speaks about God carrying you through difficult circumstances, family challenges, loss, and uncertainty. Was writing this song an emotional experience for you?
Yes, definitely. I think for me, being someone that doesn't find it easy to be vulnerable and to speak about his emotions, you know, it was difficult to now put pen on paper and make a song about it, even though, you know, it should be easy. But for me, you know, because these were such raw events, you know, that happened in my life, you know, I was still going through everything, you know. So it was difficult to write, but I think once, you know, that gratitude sort of just sunk in, I think everything started to flow, and that realization that, you know, God is carrying you even in this moment, you know, while I was writing the song. So yeah, it was definitely an emotional experience, but it was a necessary one, you know, because I had to sit through that to be able to get to the song, to be able to get to the message that I want to bring over to the listeners. So yeah.
Okay, so and Gedra is part of something much bigger, your debut EP V is Ek. The title V is Ek suggests a journey of asking some pretty deep questions about identity. What does that question mean to you personally?
That question, I think I've mentioned it previously. You know, it's a question for me that I ask myself every day, because like I also mentioned, this EP is about finding my way back to myself, and this title, or well, the song in the EP called VSX, and the song is about, you know, those moments where you look in the mirror and you do not recognize the person that is staring back at you.
Yeah.
Where everything that has happened around you has sort of, you know, formed who you are as a person, or has defined who you are, you know, as a person. And this title and the song as well is about, you know, asking yourself, but who is this person? You know, because when you build so many walls and, you know, especially to protect yourself, you know, you start to put on a mask, you know, so that people don't see your vulnerabilities and your insecurities and everything. And for me, it was about looking in the mirror and asking myself, who is this person that is staring back at me? Is this the mask, or is this me? You know, so yeah, you know, it is about finding who I was before I lost who I was, and trying to find my way back to that person. I think, you know, that is the basic premise of it. You know, just trying to find my way back to the person who I used to be, you know, obviously with all the lessons and everything that I've learned, but finding who I am.
Awesome, Mark. You've also worked with John Mark Mayer, Riku Lati, and Eddie Strings on the EP. What did each producer bring to your music, and how did that celebration help shape the final project?
Yeah, it was very very exciting for me. To be able to have worked with three producers that bring a different kind of flavor. Jean Marc Mayer. I think he is one of the best producers. I think he helped me to sort of open up the world of what the songs could be. And it was definitely sort of a challenge in a way to say let's try and not just keep the song in the stagnant form, but let's try and open it up, and let's try and um, see what the song can be. And Riku, I think just brings that emotionality. He brings that folk acoustic nature, that I basically, where all my songs are born, so that hit close to home. And Eddie, um, he came to me with an alternative version of one of the songs that I wrote, which was very exciting, and I was like, this is so cool because it was something that I didn't think of. And yeah, I'm so incredibly excited about, the final product, because I think while there is a sort of uniformity in all of the songs, you can hear, that there is different flavors, in every song that brings across unique messages, So yeah.
Awesome, Mark. Now, your journey through ATKV's Crescendo has also played a major role in where you are today. You said that Crescendo helped you realize that you had something valuable to say through your music. What was the biggest lesson you took away from that experience?
That it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable in your writing. It's okay to be vulnerable in your music. Um, you know, all of these songs sort of were born after um, my Crescendo mentorship program, because I had mentors there that really pushed me to go sit and think about what it is that I actually want to say, to think a bit deeper, and not to write things that are on the surface, on the nose. So yeah, that has definitely helped me to actually think about the message that I want to bring over and how to convey that in a way that is unique to me, so that people, when they listen to the lyrics, that they can feel different emotions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And your official EP launch takes place on the 28th of August at Daisy Jones Bar at Summerhill Estate. And you'll be joined by Olga Leonard, Waden Johannes, and the ATKV Crescendo Choir. How special is it going to be for you to share that stage with them?
It is going to be so incredibly special. I think it is obviously a very big moment for me, a very big achievement for me, to be able to release and have a show for my first EP and to share the stage with Olga Leonard and Waden Johannes, which is Crescendo alumni as well. It is so incredibly special because I've built relationships with both of them, and they are amazing people and obviously incredible artists as well. And obviously, for the first time in Crescendo history, I will be having my a Crescendo choir, and I think it is going to definitely bring a different flavor, a different emotionality to the show, which I think is definitely going to leave everyone with goosebumps. And I think it's going to definitely feed into the essence of what this EP especially is about. So yeah, it's going to be really really special, and I'm so excited.
Fantastic, Mark. And you are also part of the South African Youth Choir yourself, so having a choir involved must make this launch even more meaningful.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It is, having been part of the South African Youth Choir, that was such a special part, a special time of my life, and to be able to, do this with my own crescendo choir, I think is going to make this evening even more special and memorable, because I think it's going to make everything feel that much bigger, and, it will definitely highlight the necessary emotions in a much bigger way, so yeah, it's definitely going to be so exciting, and it's definitely going to be really, really special.
Awesome, Mark. And you've said that your dream isn't simply about becoming famous or making millions, but about being able to make a living through music while making a difference in people's lives. If you could sit across from the person who is listening to Khadra right now and give them one piece of encouragement about their own journey, what would you say?
I would say that it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to feel. It is okay to be human, you know. But but also remember that irrespective of which time in your life you are at, what you are going through, your circumstances, remember that even though you can't feel God's presence all the time, remember that just because you can't feel Him doesn't mean that He isn't there.
Yeah.
He is carrying you through every single moment without you even realizing it. And yeah, I think that would be my piece of encouragement, just to know that even if you can't feel God, it doesn't mean that He's not there. He's still carrying you through every single area, every part of your life.
Wow, Mark, that's really awesome. And it's been fantastic catching up with you once again from Mirasye to Khadra. It sounds like we're hearing not just the development of an artist, but the story of someone discovering who he is, where his faith fits into that journey, and how his experiences can hopefully encourage someone else. Before we let you go, Mark, where can listeners find Khadra and where can they follow you to keep up with the V.S.Ek EP and your upcoming launch?
So Gedra and all my other songs are available on all available streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube Music, everything. So you are more than welcome to just type in Mark Pekeur and all my songs will pop up. And you can follow me on all social media, on Instagram, Mark J. Pekeur, on TikTok, Mark Pekeur Music, and on Facebook, Mark Pekeur.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much once again for joining us on South Coast Radio. We wish you all the best for the release of Khadra and of course for the V.S.Ek EP launch, which is on the 28th of August.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and once again, thank you to all the listeners who tuned in. It was a real pleasure and an honor to catch up with you again, and thank you so much for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're most welcome, Mark. And also to the listeners, that is Mark Pekeur. Make sure you look out for him and his latest release called Khadra on all major streaming platforms. And don't forget the EP launch, which is coming up as well. So stay tuned for that.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.